Welcome to Supernatural Stories. For today, we have a story from Na, and the story starts here. For as long as I can remember, people would tell me that my aura is very bright and my presence immediately enlightens the atmosphere. I have always considered it as a blessing. However, my family members told me to be very wary. I had never understood what they meant until I learned it the hard way. So this is the story. I was 8 years old at that time. I had always been a good student, responsible, perfect attendance, good grades and whatnots. However, that all changed when I returned home from school one day. I remember alighting from the school bus and heading up to my unit where I had lived at that time. I felt uncomfortable, like there was tugging on my leg, even though there was nothing. I knocked on the door to be greeted by my mother. As the door opened, I met the eyes of a lady in white standing behind my mother, and I collapsed. As I collapsed, I can hear my mother shouting, saying, "Hey, kenapa ni?" But it was very faint as I was slowly drifting off. I woke up with cold towels placed all over my body. My mother said that I was running a high fever. This lasted for many days. The magical fever that would go away the moment I met the doctor, but spiked the moment I was in bed. While this all happened, I felt claustrophobic, as if there were tens and hundreds of people in front of me in the empty room. To add on, my chest always felt heavy, like as if someone was sitting on me. One day, the fever went away and my mother thought I was well enough to go back to school. When she woke me up in the morning, I remember feeling angry and sadness all at once. There would always be screaming and crying each morning because the room temperature always feels hot, and when I took a shower, it feels boiling hot. And when I went out of my house, it felt like there were knives on my skin. Finally, a day came when my mother saw me from afar and she got terrified. She described me to look just like an old lady, and my hair was frizzled, very messy, and my teeth projected forward as if it stuck out from my mouth. My skin was pale. I walked with a hunch, and I dragged my right foot as if there was somebody holding on to it. My mother rushed us to my grandmother's house. She did not tell me why, but I could see the fear in her eyes. I could not remember much what happened, but my mother had mentioned that I screamed and fainted under my grandmother's block, so she had to carry me. And while she was carrying me, she said it felt like I was twice my weight. In the house, she quickly laid me on the floor for my grandmother. I recalled feeling as if there was a hot metal plate that had been placed on me with each touch before I fainted again. When I woke up, they told me multiple Pontianaks was sent to me as an act of jealousy towards my mother. One sat on my shoulder, causing me to hunch. Another hugged my leg, causing me to wobble. Another hugged me like a child, constraining me breathless. And the rest roamed freely around me. So, we went through weeks of Rukia sessions before we completely got rid of each one of those things that followed me, which is the Pontianaks. And it went back to normal. Till this day, we do not know who was cruel enough to send such things to a child. However, we have chosen to forgive it. My mother and I have since been extra cautious of who we chose to talk to and who we allow in the house. And that was a story from Na. Thank you for that story, Na. And thank you for watching this episode of Supernatural Stories. It's quite scary, honestly, being sent demons and ghosts like Pontianaks and Pochongs that causes you to hunch. But I believe it. It's a real thing. I've seen people who get, who got sent this thing. So this is a real thing. But if you like this video. If you guys have more ghost stories, please share with your friends so everyone could share their piece of the pie, which is our ghost stories. So thanks for watching this episode of Supernatural Stories. Like and subscribe, please. We're going to reach 5,000. And good night.